Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another cheeky episode of the Single Parents Podcast. This is a podcast for anybody whose life may have turned out a little less than traditional. You got Anthony, you got Steph, hanging out, enjoying another day. But Steph, right off the bat, I already got a question for you. So
yes.
Hope you're ready. I forgot to bring our coffee. So I hope you're awake.
Okay.
That's my bad. I just now realized that. L on my part. But question for you right at the bat. So we talked a lot and got your perspective, your wisdom, your insight, your knowledge on how to be social as a single parent or as a person in general, blah, 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 blah. But what is your take on doing like socially type things, public type things alone? And I asked this because this week, it was like Wednesday night, super stressful time. I got my car. You probably see it why it's all like look out the window, see my car. It's all muddy.
Yeah.
I got my car stuck in some mud for like an hour and a half. One of my friends, I was just dropping some stuff off to him. And he kind of like lives out in the middle of nowhere, part of the area that we live in. And I've been to his house like maybe once. Like we're not like super like hang out all the time friends. So like I type of thing, like I kind of knew where he lived, but I still had to like use the GPS to get out there because he lives out there. So I followed my Google Maps and it took me down like this very narrow dirt road. When later I figured out I could have just went around and went on a much safer road.
Gave you a shortcut.
Stupid Google Maps screwed me. And so I went down this little shortcut, of course, went through a puddle, got stuck, took a whole thing. And it was super stressed. I was like, I don't even know it just took forever. And finally somebody came out and helped me and it was annoying. So the next day, that was like Wednesday. The next day, finished up work. I was still like stressed about that whole thing because it kind of threw my whole night off into a tizzy. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to finish work. It's a Thursday night. I really don't have much plans on the agenda. Like I could figure something out. I could go do this to that. But you know what? Screw it. After a stressful night like last night, I'm going to go take myself to the movies by myself. I didn't want to bother with texting somebody and be like, hey, I'll meet you at 7:00. Let's do this. Do you want to eat before? I was like, I didn't even want to plan. Yeah. Didn't even feel like doing that. I allegedly smuggled some adult drinks into the theater. And found like a nice little spot by myself, allegedly, cracked open those adult drinks and sat and enjoyed a movie for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it was nice and it kind of recharged my batteries after a stressful night the previous night. But I know some people, the whole concept of going to the movies alone or a restaurant alone or whatever, like that just like weirds them out. And so like, well, what is your thoughts on going out, doing public stuff like that solo?
I actually do enjoy doing stuff like that. I actually haven't gone to the movies by myself, mostly just because I'm not a movies person. I don't like to go to the movie theater.
Oh,
which I know,
interesting.
I know. I don't know what it is. I just would rather. I think it's like the effect of, modern streaming. Like I'm like, I can watch it at my house in like 2 weeks. So
true.
I just don't really love to go to the movies. But regardless, I do like, I'll go like out for brunch by myself my favorite thing to do is just go like window shopping. So I'll go like walk around Marshalls and like whatever. So I do enjoy going and doing stuff by myself. I think it's a nice like reset, especially if you're kind of introverted. You don't have to be just like trapped in your house all the time by yourself, which is nice in itself too. But I do enjoy going sometimes and hanging out by myself. I put my AirPods in, hang out, go shopping, do whatever. So
yeah. So you're not somebody who's like thinks that's like the craziest idea in the world.
I think when I was younger, I probably definitely felt that way. But I think the older I get, the more I'm just like, okay, well, I want to go out to breakfast. My friends aren't free, or like you said, like I don't feel like going through the motions of like making a plan and picking a day and time that works for everybody. So like I will just be like, you know what? I want a mimosa. I want to have some good breakfast food, and I'll just go by myself. So
yeah, because I do know you're the queen of brunch. I was going to ask your thing. I'm trying to think of what you're saying about the theater. I'm thinking about the restaurant thing. I don't remember the last time I went out to like even like a spot to eat by myself. I don't think so.
I do like, it is kind of nice. Like, and I really will be like one of those people. I'll go sit down with like my book or my e-reader and like put my AirPods in and just sit and eat and read my book, and I love it.
That sounds nice. All right. Well, I'll have to. Oh, I guess mostly I just wanted to ask because I just I don't care. Like I like going out and doing stuff solo, especially when I just need that like reset, that self-care time, that treat yourself time, that like mental health personal. I'm just gonna take myself on a date because I need it. I deserve it. I'm worthy of it, and it was nice. So. All right. Well,
yeah. Well, I'm glad you did that. That sounds like fun. What movie did you see?
Godzilla and King Kong.
Oh, somebody told me that they were coming out with that.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen anything about it.
So that's why I said I allegedly got some alcohol and just chilled and watched giant monsters fight for 2 hours. And I was like,
I love
this
it.
is dope. This was dope. And then I went home and I was good. I was all good. But I hope you all are doing well out there. If you're able, why don't you take yourself out on a little date yourself? You deserve it. Don't forget that. Don't forget that you are worthy of caring for yourself. Even if it is like, I don't know, 10 minutes. You go outside, breathe in some fresh air for 10 minutes because that's all you can do with your kids running around inside the house. Just don't forget to take that time, do what you got to do, and know that your friends here at the Single Parents Podcast have your back when it comes to that stuff. Before we get into today's episode, just wanted to ask you to do a few things if you'd be so kind. The first thing is just make sure you yourself have subscribed to the podcast. Turn on automatic downloads, YouTube, your Spotify, wherever, so you never miss an episode of the show in the future. Second, perhaps consider sharing the podcast. Share the podcast with the friend, with the family member, with the neighbor, with the teenage employee at the movie theater who's kindly looking the other way as you allegedly have two tall boys in the back of your pocket to sneak into the movie theater. Actually, I don't know why those teenagers might be interested in a Single Parents Podcast, but I guess you could share.
Maybe their parent's a single parent.
Yeah, I mean, there's teenage single parents. I guess I don't know.
True.
Just share it, share the podcast so we can spread the show around, get some more voices in here, keep building it that way. And then, last but not least, if you would be so kind to do so, consider rating the podcast. Rate the podcast 5 stars, as many stars as you're willing to give it on especially those podcast hosting platforms, because that tells the algorithms out there that the show is legit, passes along to like more people. I think right now we're sitting on Spotify, at least I think we have a 4.3 out of 5-star rating on there, so that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's I'll take it. Take it. Yeah, and the person who dropped that rating down, I'm sorry. Please.
Was it Luke?
Please. Oh, yeah, it's probably Luke. Yeah, go back and listen to episode, what would that have been? Episode 27. Yeah, go back and listen to that. We kind of got on Luke pretty good, but he deserved it because he was...
he's my new arch nemesis. So.
Yeah, we don't like Luke on this show. If you're that one particular Luke, all the other Lukes, you're cool. You're cool. Not that one. So he probably brought the score down on the Spotify review system, but you can go build it up if you would be so kind to do so. All right, you ready to talk about some assholes?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Something to think about.
All right, so we are doing some Am I the Asshole this week, parenting edition. Yes. A lot of them involve more like co-parenting relationships, I would say. Some of them I thought were really interesting. I found a lot more than I actually thought I was going to, because
really,
I guess it makes sense. You know, as a parent, there's a lot of times when you're like, am I a jerk for doing this? Like, especially when it comes to, I think a lot of people, holding their boundaries with stuff, especially with like co-parents or even like their parents as a grandparent. And so I did find actually a lot of interesting stuff and a few that I'm really interested to hear your opinion on. So I think we'll just dive right into it.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I had no idea what any of these
I kept them a secret. So
because we were just like, let's just have a fun episode, something a little different, because again, single parents, we love us. We love our people. We're hot, as we say this year, hot era. But we can be assholes sometimes.
Yeah.
We're not immune from getting caught up in drama, and so we'll just see. Let's just see what we got. I'm excited.
Alrighty. So for the first one, the title is "Am I the Asshole for Not Changing My Parenting Plan with My Ex for My Current Husband?" And we'll just dive right into it. I'll give you. So I'm gonna read just like the main part. and then I'll let you react to that, and then I'll give you there is an update.
Okay, good.
And then I don't think I'm really going to get into the comments on this one because we'll just say what our opinions are. I'm not going to get into what everyone else's opinions are.
Good.
So the post is, "Hi, fellow readers. My husband and I have been together for 6 years, married for almost 2. My husband, male 35, and I, female 35, have a new baby who has brought out the best in our new family. I have a daughter from a previous relationship who is soon to be 13. She's a wonderful kid, honor society, student council, and athletic beyond my wildest dreams. Her dad and I split when she was 7, and we have had a verbal parenting agreement that has worked for us. No lawyers, no crazy arguments we haven't worked through. And we truly want what's best for our daughter. My now husband wants me to quit working so I can be home with our baby, but I carry the health insurance for our son and my daughter. With his new job, he's able to cover all of us, but said that if he's covering my daughter, he feels it's fair to get her tax credit every year. My ex and I alternate tax years as he pays for her school tuition, which isn't cheap. Am I the asshole for not wanting to change our parenting plan? I'd love to finish out my daughter's adolescent. Oh my gosh. Apparently the word ass is just on my mind.
Oh,
I'd love
okay.
to finish out. Well, because am I the asshole?
Oh, okay. All right.
I'd love to finish out my daughter's adolescent years without attorneys and all of their fees. So there's an update, like I said. But
Yes.
How do you feel about just like the meat and bones of this?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say not the asshole because I don't know. I don't say 1,000% agree with her, but I see mostly if I'm seeing the different sides of this, I'm seeing her side because I have the same situation with my girls' mom. Like we have 2 daughters, and so basically we I guess maybe take turns. Like this year I claim Evely, and next year claim Maddox, vice versa. Or stuff like
gotcha.
That.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. I could be wrong, or maybe we just. I think what it is, we just each claim one of the girls every single year.
Okay, that makes sense.
That works. But I know people who have like one kid between the 2 parents, and then they do.
That's
the
what
back
all
and
of
forth.
Stat and I do. We I think I do every even year, and he does every odd year.
There you go. So I know that works. But the big thing is that if you have a relationship with the other parent that seems like pretty chill, seems like it's worked, seems like it's not too bad, then I get where she's saying like, hey, I just don't want to ruffle the feathers. I don't want to rock the boat, especially when it comes to this.
Right.
Because it sounds like her current husband, his motives for doing it just kind of seem a little selfish, to be honest. Like he's not like fully seeing the big picture of like, hey, yeah, I get you're taking on a lot, but the trade-off is by us doing this and keeping things cool, we're avoiding the lawyers, avoiding the drama, avoiding all the other stuff that comes with all of that stuff. So I don't think he's fully seeing that. He's just sounds like he's just kind of thinking about like, well, I'm doing this, so I should do this, X, Y. So I don't know. What do you think?
My question is, okay, so she mentions in it the school tuition. So I'm guessing that she must go to like some type of private school or charter school or something that obviously isn't free public school. And she says that the tuition is not cheap.
Right.
So my question is, if the new husband is wanting to claim her every year, is he also willing to pick up what it costs to send her to school as well? And I think, I don't know, she doesn't mention what their custody agreement is in the post. She just says that they have a custody agreement and it works. So my assumption is they have a good relationship. It sounds like the dad is involved. So I would assume something similar to 50-50. So this dad's involved. He's paying for her tuition, and you can assume he's paying for her when she's with him. So the new husband, I think it's kind of asking a lot to be like, hey, pick this fight in your stable relationship because I'm paying for insurance. And insurance is not cheap, but a lot of companies pay a portion of it for you or however it may work. And typically you can just do like a family plan. So more than likely it's going to cost the same with just their kid versus with both kids. So I don't know. It kind of seems like you said, kind of selfish. And like, if they're already claiming her every other year, I think that that's fair. So I would definitely say she's not the asshole.
And I just think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have the wrong perspective on like marriages, which is probably why I'm not married. So this might be fair.
Yeah.
But I've always just gotten confused when you're talking about like stuff within a marriage, and then one person starts using the like I language.
Right.
Like, well, I'm doing this, so I should do this. And I'm just in my head, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe things have changed. It's been a few years since I've been married. But maybe I'm just thinking like, if you're married, isn't that like a team thing? Isn't that like like, so he shouldn't be like, well, I'm doing this, so this is fair for me. It should be like, well, this works for us together as a team. I
want you to stay home, so I will cover the insurance. Like that's how it should be, and it is a trade-off because he's asking her to give up her career, which is how she has coverage for their children on their insurance. Yeah, and he's like, hey, I can handle that. I think you should stay home and raise the kids. That's a trade-off. I mean, and I can't read into it too much. She doesn't say like if that's something like that she also wants, or if she just thinks it's best for her family. I don't know her. I don't know what the situation is, but I think it does start to get into like a little bit of red flag territory where it's like he wants her to stay home where she now doesn't have her own income, and then he's already like demanding things from her and using, like you said, that I language. Like, I provide the insurance, I pay the bills, and that starts to get into really red flag territory for me. But let me read you the update. Okay. Because this really solidified my opinion. Okay. So I'll let you know. Right. You let me know. I mean. Okay. Okay. So the update. After another big fight, my husband is now saying that my parenting plan should be between him and I, and then involve my ex. He stated that he has no issue taking my daughter on financially. He stated that I ran nothing by him on my parenting plan and that we have never discussed the rules. The parenting plan hasn't been updated in 5 years because it hasn't needed to be updated. He's been living under the same roof that I have for the last 4 years. I told him that we have always alternated tax years. He says he didn't know, but I'm confident that that's not the case, which... Just side note, there's no way he didn't know if they're married and filing joint. Yeah. But anyway. And I told him that we've agreed upon the 2-2-3 schedule. And he said he didn't know, which he has known. I don't know what that part's about. She lost me there. But anyways, he said that it was more of a comment to see if I'd be willing to allow his input. He used the words loyalty in discussion with me. Another example used was us moving to wherever in the US because we can, and he wants to see my openness, but I've made it clear that I'd like to move where we would have family around. So essentially she kind of got off on like a little tangent, and I don't know if maybe she was updating towards like maybe because sometimes they'll like make comments in the comments. I see. And then they'll do an update on the actual post. Yeah. So I think some of that maybe is like, I'm assuming the 2-2-3 must be like their custody agreement, like 2 nights, 2 nights, 3 nights. Or maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm not really sure. I mean, there's so many comments on here, so I didn't read through all of them. But anyways, what really got me here was the first line in the update. After another big fight, my husband is now saying that my parenting plan should be between him and I, and then involve my ex. I want your opinion on that first and foremost.
Yeah, this guy's scumbag. Break up with him.
Yeah.
Get rid of him. No, I'm just kidding. This is gonna be my advice. This is gonna be my advice for everybody that I don't like. Just break up with him.
Break up with him. We're gonna just get those shirts that say "dump him."
There we go. Our first merch
Our
drop.
First merch is gonna be "dump him."
Be single. No, but seriously, like he doesn't sound. Number one, it sounds like he has to be lying about some of the information he says he didn't know. Because first of all, I guess there's some bigger issues if you're gonna marry somebody and you don't know how their custody works,
4 years of marriage,
their taxes work. Like you didn't talk about that when dating, living with somebody. Like 4 years of filing taxes that never came up.
And if you've been married, I mean, you have the option to file separately. Yeah, but most people do not. And I don't know if she doesn't say. I feel like she would have specified if they've been filing separately, because I feel like that would change the narrative here. But like does he just like not involve himself at all with the process? Like, I don't know how they've been dating for 5 years and have lived together and been married for 4 years. So at least 4 of those years you filed your taxes.
Yeah. Right.
And you didn't know, like, you didn't notice those off years that like you weren't claiming a dependent before you had your son. Like, I don't understand.
I think he knew. He just sounds like, and I think she's kind of alluding to this. Maybe she said something in this about it, but like she's basically like testing her to see like how much control he can exert over her, because he made the whole thing about moving, and then, well, it should be between us, and then the other parent like, no, that's like, sorry, that's not how it works.
The whole like your custody agreement with the child that is your guys's should be between you and I, and then the father. Like, no. I swear. This man is so delusional. Like,
this guy is.
And I'm like,
Delulu.
I could understand if maybe this is like their first year of marriage and he just didn't really know. Maybe they didn't have this like conversation, or maybe they're like, if you're newly dating and you've just moved in together and maybe now you're involving yourself more in like the custody and how that stuff works. But like, there's no world in which you, as the husband, as the stepfather, trump the actual father when it comes to custody and making those decisions, unless the father or mother is not involved in the child's life.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that's the only scenario where it's between you guys. Like, and you should, I think, you know, if you're a single parent and you marry someone and you kind of have blended your families, I do think it should be a discussion between everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's fair. But him saying like, it honestly killed me. Like, him saying it should be between you and I, and then we can involve your ex. Sounds like he's intimidated by the fact that they have a good relationship is really what I got out of it. But yeah, this man's delusional.
He's delusional. He's insecure. He wants to see what he can get away with.
I agree. So. Definitely a lot of red flags there. So
dump
this person, not the asshole.
Does it 100%. Say like?
I'm just gonna comment, dump him.
Yes, put it. Like that's my
That'll be my first Reddit comment, because I'm just a lurker. Okay, so moving on from that one, I felt like that was a good starting point.
That was a good warm up. I like it.
Okay, so this one is interesting, and it's a little bit long. There is an edit on this one, but it's something that adds to the narrative of the story. So I'm going to read through the whole thing.
Okay.
So the title is, Am I the Asshole for Telling My Sister to Either Lay Off on My Parenting Style or Leave My House? And then in parentheses, it says, and go homeless.
Oh.
So there's a little bit at stake here.
Okay.
So I, 44 male, am a single father to a 14-year-old daughter. I have raised her on my own since her mother passed away 10 years ago. Since the beginning, I was not a fan of being a strict father. I came from a household like that, and all it did was give me a miserable childhood and a strained relationship with my parents and a crap ton of therapy. 2 weeks ago, my sister's house got flooded. They found out that the foundation rotted, so I offered them to move into my finished basement with a separate entrance. So right now, her husband, her 3 sons, 16, 13, and 9, are living in my 3-bedroom basement. So basically, it's like a basement apartment that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they have their life and we have ours, but we hang out for a couple hours every day. That's when the trouble started. Like I said, I don't have too many rules for my daughter. As long as I know where she is and she's back by 9 p.m., she's free to go wherever she wants, within limits, of course. I do not control what she wears or what makeup she puts on, as long as she follows her school dress code, and of course she dresses appropriately for special occasions. She does not have a bedtime. I do not check and see if she did her homework. She has a lock on her door, and I always ask permission before going in. If she does not like what I plan to make for a meal, she's free to cook something else, order takeout, as long as she informs me before I start cooking, and no ordering in more than twice a week.
Wait, did it say how old the daughter is?
I think it said, let me go back to the 14.
Oh, okay.
So she's not old enough to drive, but she's old enough to do teenager things. So she's only allowed to order in twice a week, and she uses her own money to order in. I think he mentions down here somewhere that she gets like allowance money. So she has to use her money if she's going to order her food in. Now, these rules are a result of me having a good kid. She's earned my trust, and me wanting her to grow up as independent as possible while learning to self-regulate and keeping her safety in mind. My sister, on the other hand, is a very strict parent. She has her kids on a set routine. They're not allowed to have closed doors except while changing. She checks their electronics all the time. They're rarely allowed to go anywhere. They eat what she cooks or they starve if she allows them not to eat what she made, that is. She is so on top of their schooling that I feel bad for the teachers. She's always emailing them or calling them or even going to the school. They do not get pocket money and are not allowed to work. And even the 16-year-old has a 9 p.m. bedtime on school nights and 10 p.m. on weekends. I don't agree with her parenting style, but I keep my opinions to myself. But now she is demanding that I give my daughter more rules because her kids are comparing themselves to their cousin and they are rebelling. So I told her straight to her face, she either keeps her opinion to herself and parent her kids and leave my daughter to me, or she is free to find somewhere else to live. She says I'm an asshole because I don't know how my lax parenting is only adding more stress to her already stressful life, and threatening her with homelessness is a very low blow. So am I the asshole? And then edit, forgot to add, when my sister started this whole thing, my sister and her family know they are not supposed to go on the second floor without permission. That's where me and my daughter's bedrooms are. Well, my nephews started using this rule to hang out with their cousin without their mother being able to get to them. And when she does, my daughter's door is usually locked, so she has to wait for them to open it for her. She is convinced that they are hiding something from her in my daughter's room. All they were doing is having some freedom and privacy away from her constant monitoring.
Yeah. I still don't think this guy is the asshole. I really don't.
I'm kind of 50-50 on this one.
Okay. So I don't think he is the asshole because it's his house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if he has that dynamic with his daughter, whether, like, I think my big thing is, like, I think you can have an opinion about that, but when you start demanding stuff, especially in somebody else's own house, it's not even your house.
Yeah.
That's when I think, okay, she crossed the line. I think, obviously, if he truly, I guess if he knows his daughter and truly, like he said, he has that trust for his daughter to where he's like, I don't do these things because she can regulate that stuff herself. She's able to, like, if they have that dynamic, then that's cool. I just think that when the sister started overstepping and started, again, demanding certain things, that's when the line got crossed, in my opinion.
So the only reason I say I'm a little 50-50 on this is because I do think that the dynamic is so weird. And I think that I think it's the edit where it made me lean into more of like the 50-50.
Okay.
I think like you said, overall, this is the way he's parenting his child. If it's working for them, and it's obviously been working for them for the past 10 years that he's been parenting on his own, then it's nobody's business. And I totally get like where these teenagers are coming from, that they're like, well, especially the 16-year-old, like, why does my 14-year-old cousin have so much more freedom than I do?
Yeah.
So I totally get that part. The part where I'm like, okay, maybe you're kind of an asshole is, why is it specifically that only the parents are not allowed upstairs without permission, but the kids are? And I thought that was really weird.
Oh, because I thought originally he said none of that family was allowed upstairs.
Which was kind of what I got at first. But now that I'm reading it the second time, which let me just read the edit one more time.
Thought. That's why I thought he said my sister and her family have to stay downstairs because me and my daughter have upstairs, and that's like our space. Then I was kind of confused, like, why he was all of a sudden okay with his nephews, I guess. This is
which maybe the nephews are asking for permission to go up there.
Okay.
But my thing is, like, this whole thing is so weird. So he says, my sister and her family know they're not supposed to go to the second floor without permission. So he does state, and the family.
Oh, and the family.
Well, my nephews started using this rule to hang out with their cousin without their mother being able to get to them. So I'm assuming basically what the dynamic is that, like, the teenagers are asking like the cousin permission.
Okay, yeah.
And then they're going in her bedroom and locking the door.
Yeah.
And then the sister's like, well, I can't go up there because I can't even get permission to go up there.
I see.
But I do think I totally get, like, hey, you're living in my basement. This is your guys' space. This is our space. But I do think, like, if her kids are up there, she should be allowed to go up there.
That's fair.
And be like, hey, what are you guys doing? But I also just think, like, they obviously have wildly different parenting styles. Like you could not be more like black and white when it comes to it. So I think that the whole dynamic in the house is super weird to me. And I think maybe it's more so like him trying to maintain boundaries of like, you guys can live here, but we still want to be able to like have our normal life maybe.
Yeah.
But the whole thing's so weird to me. And I think like overall, I would say he's definitely not the asshole when you get to like what the actual gist of what he's posting is about. His sister overstepped the line by saying like, you're making my life harder by parenting the way you are. Like, it doesn't have to be. Stay downstairs in your space and worry about what you're doing with your kids. It sounds like maybe there's like a little bit of tension there and it just kind of like blew up. But I would say overall, I don't think he's the asshole. But I do think some of like the house rules,
that makes sense.
like make it a little weird, like where I would be upset if I was in that situation and I wasn't allowed to go upstairs like where my kid was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't receive permission, but they did. Like, I think that whole dynamic is so weird. And it's like, I could see her being upset about that specifically. But overall, her overstepping the boundaries and like really dissing on his parenting and being like, you're lax parenting and like all this stuff. I think obviously she doesn't know how it feels to build that trust with her kids.
Right.
Because she hasn't even given them the opportunity to build that trust with her. So I do think overall, he's definitely not the asshole in this situation. But the only reason I say a teeter is just because of those couple weird little details that he dropped in there.
Right. So yeah, maybe he should just say like, hey, let's just make a new rule in the house that everybody just has to be downstairs. Like just treat it like two totally
separate houses.
Things. Like you guys just, I know you like to come out here and hang out with your cousin, but for the sake of what's going on, you guys just stay downstairs. If you want to hang out with your cousin, like go to the mall or something like that.
Right, yeah. Which, I mean, it sounds like the sister's kids probably wouldn't be allowed to do
nope,
that.
Sorry, it's a school night.
So I get like why they want to like,
home.
I get why they want to go upstairs and like hang out with their cousin. But I think the whole like rule makes that dynamic really weird.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I said
sense.
I teetered on it. But
break up with your sister. Dump your sister.
Dump her.
Kick her out on the streets, make her live in a box. No, I'm just kidding.
But I do think like this dad has such a good relationship with his daughter.
Yeah.
And I think it's super unfair. It sounds like almost maybe jealousy on the sister's part, like seeing how close they are and how much trust he has for her. It sounds like maybe she's a little bit even like insecure about like her relationship with her kids after being so up close and personal and seeing their relationship that they've built.
That's why I asked how old the kid was, because at first I guess maybe I had missed how old she was.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's a little weird. Like you don't check her homework, you don't like do all this stuff or whatever. But then you said she's 14. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, like that is the type of relationship like I want with my girls.
Right.
Like I want to be able to say, hey, the reason why I don't have to be on them about whatever is because we've over the course of, many, many years built up trust to where like I don't have to check their homework all the time because I know they know what to do. They know and then I obviously go to parent-teacher conferences or I see their report cards. So I know they're doing it. And so, like, I just know, okay, they're going to do their homework. So, yeah, I don't think that guy's the asshole. Just needs
not at
to
all. Yeah.
Figure it out with his sister.
I think that the sister and her family need to figure it out with a place to live because
what's up with that flood? They need to get that
shit.
I hope she had insurance. Where's that insurance money kicking in?
Honestly.
Man.
I mean, and this dude's super lucky that he has an apartment in his basement.
I know. Must be not. What? Yeah, I need to meet this guy and be like, what kind of life do you have? You're a single dad and you have a house with a fully furnished basement?
Like he specified, like it has like its own kitchen, its own bathroom. Like it's like a full basement downstairs.
Yeah, that's the real thing. So actually, you know what? You are the asshole because you have the secret to
I don't know what you do for a living.
And
but
you need to share with us because that's pretty nice.
Okay, so I feel like we're good on that one.
Yeah, we got that one. I think we're good.
So for the next one, am I the asshole for having small talk with my ex who I am co-parenting with? And then this one, they're asking for advice in the comments. So my ex, 28 male, and I, 30 female, have a 9-year-old daughter together. We were married in 2020, but broke up in less than a year. Since then, I met and got in a relationship with, she just calls him C. He's a 30-year-old male. He is the best and most amazing towards my daughter. My ex gets my daughter every summer since he lives a 15-hour flight away. We mutually agreed on this setup and our daughter loves it. She's with him now for the whole summer. Being co-parents, we are in constant communication about everything, especially recently because all the travel arrangements for our daughter. C is okay with this because he understands this is for our daughter. We message each other for advice regarding our daughter regularly. Since my ex and I ended on good terms, we can't help but have small talk sometimes about our friends, golf, his family, and any random stuff. I have been religiously telling C about everything my ex and I talk about because we're super open with each other like that. I have nothing to hide anyways. A few weeks ago, we were all in the same room and my ex video chatted with my daughter. My ex asked for me. To be clear, he was on loudspeaker and C could hear the whole conversation. My ex asked me for skincare advice since I'm a skincare geek, and I just recommended him some products and honestly was super excited about it since I'm super passionate about it. C did not like this at all. He asked me to go in the room and he was all riled up about how disrespectful I was to him. I said he was there to hear the whole conversation and I genuinely thought it was okay since he got to hear that there was nothing else going on during that call. It ended up with arguing and a lot of me crying, but we made up. He apologized about being so mad, but was stern about me keeping my promise, which I'm assuming their making up was apparently her promising not to continue this small talk. He made me promise not to talk about anything else with my ex other than our daughter. So there it is. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I said, okay, I'd try. But sometimes when we chat about our daughter, he would just ask random questions like, how's golfing? And like a decent human being, I would participate in small talk for a bit. After this, I would tell C about it and sometimes even sending him screenshots of our conversations, reading him the message thread. C would then be upset that there was some other convo that was not about our daughter. This has happened like 3 times now. I honestly think it's too much, but to his defense, he did say the breakup is too fresh for any other conversation other than about our daughter. Am I the asshole for participating in small talk with my ex?
Okay, maybe I missed this again. How long was the breakup for?
They were married in 2020 and it sounds like got divorced in 2021.
It's about a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it sounds like, I mean, I don't know how long she's been with her. She just says since then she met and got in a relationship. So she's not married to this guy. They're just dating. But.
Yeah. It's bring out the t-shirts. Same advice. Dump
him.
Dump C. Come on. This is ridiculous. I feel very strongly about this because that whole conversation, that whole dynamic sounds almost exactly like how it is with me and my girls' mom.
Yeah.
Like I'd say 90% of the time we're talking about the girls. But because I would say hopefully she would agree. Like we are cool and we do have hey, you can call it history, but I don't mean it like romantic history. We just we know the same people. She knows goofy stuff about me. I know stuff about her, work stuff and whatever. Like just the other day, she called me and I got to be careful because we were talking some tea about some drama, but we just know mutual people. So she called me and she's like, do you know what went on with so-and-so? And I was like, well, I heard this and whatever. It had nothing to do with our daughters.
Right.
And it wasn't like a whole thing. And then she hung up because I had to get back to work and she had to get back to work. But it happened. Or I don't know, I'm a silly goofy guy. I don't know how to do every little thing. She used to work at an optometrist. So I had to, hopefully you guys see my fresh new glasses. Hopefully you're thinking I'm looking good. Drop a comment if you think I'm looking hot today. But I was asking her advice about glasses because she worked at an eyeglass place. I needed new glasses. So I was just like, hey, and she told me hey, you're on camera a lot, so you need to make sure you get a certain type of lens. So the reflection, blah, 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 blah. And so I just put myself into the poster's shoes because I am our dynamic is a lot like that. So I just know, again, maybe this is probably why I'm not married, is because if I was in that relationship with C, I would have been like, I can't do this. I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's not worth it. Sure, you might be awesome, C. You might be hot. You might be rich. You might do all these things. But I don't have the time or energy to deal with that. I guess I'll say this before you share. I understand the insecurity that can come from that. Like, I get that, and I get how it can be a little weird because, again, you had a whole kid with this person, you had romantic stuff with that person. So I understand, and I think you're allowed to express, like, hey, like, this made me feel a little uncomfortable. I know it's silly, you were just talking about glasses, but it just made me feel this type of way. Like, just wanted to be honest about that.
Yeah.
Or, just having a conversation, but to constantly, like, because really it's just like letting those insecurities, which can be understandable, take over and become controlling. It can become too much, and especially since it sounds like she was so open. She showed him the text.
She's sending him
put him on speaker.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't trying to hide anything. So really, all he's doing is he's taking the nothing that he's hearing and he's turning it into something.
Right.
And to me, I'm just like, I don't have time for that. Sorry. So bye, C. That's me. Maybe would you stick with C?
I think this is where I'm like, okay, I think it takes a special type of person to be able to date a single parent in a co-parenting relationship. Because if you think about it, in any non-single parent dating scenario, if I didn't have a kid, I'm dating someone else who doesn't have a kid. If they were still talking to their ex on a regular basis, it would probably bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, it's that insecurity of like, okay, well, why are you guys still talking?
Right.
But I think the problem is when you start dating someone who's a single parent in a co-parenting relationship, that person is in your life for good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like until your kid turns 18. It is forever. They are in your life forever. And I think that that's, for some people, really hard to wrap your mind around because they're like, probably, I mean, I don't talk to my ex, so this makes me uncomfortable. You guys have a whole kid together. And I mean, their kid's 9, which means they were together before they broke up for probably, it sounds like, at least 6 years. So, I mean, they have some history.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see where the insecurity comes from. But what I can't see is her being so open.
Oh, yeah.
And like, it would be one thing if he was like, oh my gosh, every time he calls, she goes in another room.
Yeah,
or like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But she's so open with him to the point of like, here, this is what we talked about today. And he's still like getting mad at her and making her cry over it. It's so insane to me. And I think that it's exactly what you said. He is so insecure.
Yeah.
Like so insecure in this relationship. And it sounds like maybe they've only been together for a little while because, I mean, if her divorce just happened in 2021, like was only 3 years ago. So at the most, they could have only been together for 3 years now. So I think he sounds really insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, regardless of how good this person was with my kid, if it was just this like constant fight because I have a good relationship with someone who I have to be around for the rest of my life, it would not be worth all that drama. And also touching on the point that she says this dad is a 15-hour plane ride away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't even live in this country. I don't know what country they live in, but he is at least across the ocean. A 15-hour plane ride? That's so far away.
Oh, wait, yeah. I guess I didn't think. I was thinking, 15 hours.
A 15-hour plane ride.
Not
That's
across
like
the country, huh?
That's like from here to like Australia, I think.
Oh,
like,
yeah. You're right.
He's so far away.
Gosh. Yeah.
Like, so it makes so much sense to me. And I think that this guy's a really good dad, that he is constantly like FaceTiming and checking in and asking the mom how things are going and maintaining that relationship because he does live so far away.
Yeah.
And so for the boyfriend, for C to be like so insecure is so funny to me because like, what is going to happen? He lives 15 hours away from you by plane. Like, and they obviously were together for a long time. Yeah. They got married and only stayed married for a year. So obviously it didn't work out. They knew that. They realized they were better off just co-parenting. And so I don't see, unless he is just like creating these insane scenarios in his head where he equates them being friendly with flirting or something.
Sure.
It's just he needs to get a grip, or she needs to be done with that.
Just dump him. I mean, because ultimately this is what I would end up having the conversation if I was dating C. I would be like, so basically what it just sounds like, if you want to get to the foundation of the issue, is that you just don't trust me.
Right.
Like, I was honest, as open as possible, but at the end of the day, you're getting upset because you just don't trust me. And if you can't trust me with this, then this relationship's not going to work, because the whole issue is not about me having small talk with Mac. It's that you don't trust me. And that, I don't know if I can be with somebody who just doesn't have any sort of trust with me at all. Like that just doesn't work for me. And so I think that, because I said this, I think last episode, when we were talking about something somebody said about single parents, and I was like, well, like, then what do you like want them to do? Do you want them to talk crap about each other and fight? And like, do you want that for
and then you're
their
surrounded
kid?
by all that drama all the time too.
Like that is your option. Like they're getting along, they're having, and because maybe the dad who lives 15 hours away, he's maybe having these small talk conversations because he wants to keep things civil and be cool. Like he's just trying to be cool. So like you want, because I remember this for myself. Let's see, I think it was the summer I was going through my divorce or whatever, and I was hanging out with a buddy. I'm not really friends with them anymore, and I'll probably will make sense why in a second. But like I was hanging out with a buddy, and I was in his kitchen. My kids were playing with his kids because he was like cooking something while we were chilling, and so our kids are like right there, earshot of listening to everything we say. And his exact words about his ex, because he was divorced, was, "People don't understand. If so-and-so died tomorrow, I wouldn't shed one tear. I would probably throw a party," and blah, 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 blah. And I just remember looking at him, and I'm like, bro, like...
That is such an awful thing to say
You're
about
saying
anyone.
this about... First of all, that's horrible to say about anybody. Second of all, this is about your kids' moms. Third of all, they're right there. They can hear you saying this about their mom. Like, I just remember leaving that night, and I was like, I'm making a promise to myself and to my kids and to really my kids' mom, even though I didn't actually say this to her, but I was like, I am not going to end up like, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to, as much as we might disagree on something, and maybe we have a day where we just, I don't know, we annoy each other or something, and we're not, best friends for a moment or two. Whatever, I'm not going to get to a point or let myself get to a point where I'm living with that toxic mentality about somebody.
And it's just such a miserable way to be, like
horrible.
And that's what I think, like, I always think about too, is I'm like, definitely the dynamic of we're not together. We don't have any interest in being together.
Yeah.
So anyone that I'm with or anyone that he's with, he's remarried. I think there is that understanding, like, there's not a threat here. Like, we chose not to be together because that's what was best for everyone involved. And so I think that, like, if you come into that relationship so insecure about it, that you shouldn't be dating someone who is a single parent then anyways, because that dynamic is never going to change unless it changes for the worse. And then that's bad for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just like, if you're so insecure about something like that, don't date someone who's in a co-parenting situation, because you're not going to be able to get over it. Their dynamic isn't going to change, and it's just going to be drama forever. And I think for this girl, definitely not the asshole.
No, not even close.
In any way.
Like the most like opposite of the asshole out of everybody
like
we talked about today.
She sounds cool as hell. Like, I'm like,
seriously,
the fact that like you guys are like not hanging out, like being able to like stay in touch with each other and be like, hey, like, how's your life? And be able to maintain that level of friendliness, I think it's number one, a hard thing to do in a co-parenting relationship, I think. And number two, so beneficial for your kid.
Yes.
Because if like your kid can grow up and like, I know it didn't work out for my parents. They're maybe both happily married to someone else, but they're still friends and they still both show up for me. And that's what it's important when it comes to the kids. And it sounds like this guy is definitely not thinking about how that relationship changing would affect the daughter at all. And she talks about in the beginning, like, he's so great with my daughter and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but it doesn't sound like he has her best interest in mind.
Exactly.
If he's pushing for you to have a strained relationship with her father, because that's going to affect her, especially if the whole time, her whole life, her parents have been friends and they've been friendly. And it's normal for like her parents to FaceTime each other and chat and whatever. So doesn't sound like he does have her best interest in mind.
And to her, like, I wouldn't obviously call her the asshole, but I would just, if she's asking my advice would be with the whole part where she said they went to the other room, she made the promise, like, okay, I won't have any more small talk with him anymore, blah, blah, blah. I would just be like, you know what? Like, no, you shouldn't have to even promise like that, make a promise like that to somebody who you're supposed to, like, who's really your person, the person you're really supposed to be with. You're not going to have to make that type of promise, because I always talk about like standards. Like for anybody, single parent, not single parent, anybody should have their standards. And if her standards and for her dynamic with her daughter is, my standard is we're going to keep this relationship with her dad civil, not even just for us two, but like you said, because my daughter's going to see that. She's going to see how mom and dad are interacting. She knows how they've been interacting. And if something changes all of a sudden, her daughter's going to notice that, and she's going to take that in. So I'm going to keep that. One of my standards, one of my priorities is civil, friendly relationship with my daughter's dad. That's not non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So anybody who's going to come in my life has to at least be cool with it. Again, not saying we can't talk about insecurities, not saying we can't have those conversations. Like, sure, we can talk through it.
If there's like a specific moment that you're like, I feel like that crossed my line.
Exactly.
I felt like that was diving into something more than just being friendly. That's fair too. But you don't get to just say like, you talk about her and that's it ever. Like, I think small talk is small talk. You do it with the person at the grocery store.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking that. I was like, so like what happens if, I don't know, like a coworker texts me and is like, hey, we have a meeting tomorrow at 9. Oh, by the way, like, you know, how's the weather where you live or something like that? Are you going to get mad? Like, you can never text your coworker.
Or like, oh, I watched that series you told me about.
Yeah, thank you for turning me onto that show.
Yeah, it's so silly to like be insecure about stuff like that. But these people exist and we dump them.
Dump him. That's 3 for 3. We're dumping people left and right today.
Maybe eventually we'll find one that's not worth dumping, but... All right, so for this one, am I the asshole for telling my ex-wife we are not a team and I'm the only one who can make parenting decisions?
Yes. Right off the bat, yes.
All right,
I'll wait for the context.
Snap judgment.
I'll wait for the context.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm posting this because I've been extremely conflicted after this last argument with my ex. I don't want to diminish her accomplishments, and I hope it doesn't come across that way in this post. That being said, when I was young, I married who I thought was my soulmate and had 2 kids together, a daughter and a son. Unfortunately, I did not know my wife was an addict/alcoholic when we got married. She hid it extremely well until a few years in. I began noticing patterns and eventually confronted her. We split when the oldest was 3. She signed over full custody. I know she ended up being homeless a while after our split because her parents didn't want anything to do with her. Did not know anything besides that. She contacted me about a year back and told me she was 3 years sober, had a stable job, and a home. I checked with her family and everything, and she was telling the truth. She really wanted to meet, and he put this in quotation, her kids. And while I was a little upset at the her kids line, I eventually decided it wasn't my decision to make and left it up to the kids, who are now 16 and 17 going on 18. So this has been a long time.
Okay.
The 18-year-old was 3.
Oh, wow.
The last time that they saw this mom.
Mm-hmm.
They decided that they did want to meet her, and that was that. They have been hanging out with her a couple times a week, and I let her come over for dinner almost every night. No sleepovers at her place as of now. So far, they've kind of had the aunt-ish relationship with her, but they do seem to be enjoying it. Which brings me to our conflict. I am far from being a great dad, but I honestly believe I am a good dad. I've built trust with my kids through therapy and heart-to-hearts over the year. They're fairly popular at their school, and they recently got invited to a party that I gave them the go-ahead to go to. I've spoken to them about the dangers of alcohol, drugs, etc., and they know I am always available to pick them up in a situation they don't want to be in. They also know why me and their mother split up. My kids came home around 11 and gave me the teen-type rundown. Who was there? They couldn't believe who did what, blah, blah, blah. They were also honest with me and told me they tried Jello shots, which they thought were gross, and that was the end of that. They weren't drunk, they weren't buzzed, they tried a drink, and that was that. They were there for 2 hours and came home. Well, I guess they brought up the party in front of their mother that following breakfast meetup. She was livid. She tried to ground them from electronics and socializing for 2 weeks. They said it was really awkward and asked me to pick them up without much of the details. While they were waiting in the car, I spoke to her, and when she told me, I honestly laughed. I asked what gave her the right. She responded that she really wants to be a mother to her kids and I should give her the chance to parent, that she's giving 100% to make this work. I told her she's way too late for that. The kids are basically adults, have part-time jobs, pay for their phone, bill, clothes by choice, and are deep into their plans for adulthood. She then told me I was robbing her the chance to make things right and asked me what the point was of letting her into their lives if I wasn't going to let her be a mom. That we needed to be a team because she needed my support. And here's where I might be the asshole. I told her the kids are well past the age of asking me why mommy doesn't love them and crawling into my bed at night, and that she's welcome to leave again. And as far as being a team, the only team is me and my kids. I am their parent. They listen to and respect me because I've listened to and respected them their whole lives. We have not spoken since then. It's now going on about a week and a half. She has still texted the kids good morning, good night messages, but she has skipped the last 2 meetups that they usually have so far. So am I the asshole?
No. Okay, so I take back what I said earlier. I'm sorry, poster.
I knew that one was going to get you from the get-go.
I'm just sorry for making the aside. That's the thing about those Reddit posts. They like hook you with the title and you think, but it's a good lesson on assumptions. You know, like you can't just make
that's
assumptions.
How this one got me because I saw the caption. I was like, I have to read this one because immediately, you know, me, like as a mom, I'm like, yeah, you're an asshole. But then I did the same thing as you. And then I read the post and I was like, oh.
No, because she's 1,000% right. Is like, I would laugh too. Like, first of all, the big thing is the kids being like basically adults.
Like 16 and almost 18.
That's crazy. The fact that you think you're gonna come in, so from her perspective though, I guess I would laugh, but then I guess I could like be empathetic towards her because if she is legit trying to make things right, she probably has a whole bunch of guilt about the fact that she just wasn't really like a mother to her kids, and so she's trying to like basically overcompensate for that guilt by going and doing something extreme like this. So I would, and also the fact that probably the alcohol was brought up that they tried at the party was probably triggering for her.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's a big part of her story. Like that was probably, so like like I said, towards other people, we've been saying like dump people a lot. Like I don't want to say dump the mom because I, again, could be sympathetic towards maybe her mindset because you can kind of dig a little deeper to see where some of these motivations are coming from. But I would just, I basically just have to let her know, like, you can have a relationship with the boys, but you're just going to have to know, like, unfortunately, the time to do some of that motherly stuff that maybe you're thinking you need to come in to do has come and gone.
It has passed,
I know that's hard to hear, and I know that's probably not the easiest thing to hear, but that's the reality. So if you want, they're old for kids, but they're still pretty young. Like you can still have a relationship with them and still be in their lives. It's just not going to look like you grounding them for getting in trouble. Like those days have passed.
So I do agree. And I think my biggest question coming into this, and I don't think he touched on it, and maybe he did in the comments somewhere, but I want to know, because I think he said that she reached out. It had been about a year ago that she had reached out. Let me double check. Yeah, about a year ago. So what I want to know, and he didn't really touch on this, is when she contacted you and your kids decided that, yes, they wanted to meet her. Yes, they wanted to allow her to be in their life and build this relationship. Did the two of them sit down and maybe set some boundaries as far as what that relationship was going to look like? Because I do think he's fair in saying, like, you and I are not a team. Like, you made your choices and I raised these kids myself. And I do think that he's giving her a lot of grace as far as saying, like, I see the work you've put in and I'm glad that you're back and I'm glad you're building a relationship with our kids. And he's really like, he's giving her props for doing what she needed to do to get clean and sober and become a part of his kids' life. But I do wonder, like, was there ever a relationship that was like, a conversation about like, hey, the kids are almost adults. This is what your relationship is going to look like. And this is what you should expect. And these are some boundaries that I think are going to be in place as far as you won't be doing any of the punishing and you won't be doing any of those kinds of things because they're almost adults. I would be willing to bet that they're a junior and a senior in high school, you know? And kind of like he said, the moments for those like groundings and, you know, having those kind of things have passed. And there's still going to be more moments, but she overstepped a boundary as far as like he's built that trust with the kids.
Yeah.
They came home openly, willingly. We're like, yeah, we tried Jello shots. We didn't think they were good. Also, these are 16 and almost 18-year-olds. They went to a party for 2 hours, tried a Jello shot, and were home before midnight. Like, you genuinely could not ask for like more responsible kids, it sounds like. But I think that she definitely overstepped a boundary with taking it upon herself to like, oh my God, you guys are grounded. You can't have your cell phones, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it sounds like she's overcompensating for all the years that she missed. But I think that needs to be, which I think he reacted, the way that he reacted to her and kind of threw it in her face, like the kids aren't crawling into bed asking why mom doesn't love them. Like that was it was an asshole thing to say.
And I think he admitted that. And I think that wasn't the best way to say it.
That's the only portion that I'd be like, yeah, like, but you know, everybody has those moments where you speak out of emotion and you regret what you said later. And it sounds like this was one of those for him. But I do see where he's coming from. I would say like, he's definitely not the asshole in this situation. I think it's fair for him to say, like, you are not in any position to be trying to discipline these kids. Like, you can have a relationship. You can, basically, it sounds like he wants, like, them to build a relationship with her.
Yeah.
It sounds like once the kids decided that's what they wanted, it sounds like he's encouraged it. But I also think he's not the asshole because the second conflict arose, she stepped back and skipped hanging out with the kids again.
Oh, right. I
so
forgot about that part.
I think maybe she just kind of like felt a little wounded and tucked her tail between her legs. But as a parent, like, okay, you guys had a fight. He told you like, hey, you're not their parent. You haven't been around for their whole lives. And then instead of being like, okay, I understand, let's have this talk, she kind of tucked tail and ran. Yep. Instead of like, okay, well, I'll see the kids at breakfast next week. Maybe we can meet up after breakfast and talk. Or, you know what I mean? Like, so she kind of like ran off instead of like, if you really want to step up and be a part of their lives, then you can't like the first time there's conflict, just run away and then ditch your kids when you're supposed to be meeting up with them. But, I definitely don't think he's the asshole. I think he could have handled it in a different way, which I'm sure plenty of us have plenty of moments that we could have handled in a different way. So I would say even including him being a little bit harsh, I would say he's not the asshole here.
The kids are the asshole though, because Jello shots are good. I don't know. Maybe they're so young. Maybe they just haven't learned
the joys of a Jello shot.
Man, I'm just like, a Jello shot sounds pretty good.
I also laughed at that. I was like, I'm still at my big age, I love a Jello shot.
Jello shots are great. So yeah, that's my big takeaway from this story, is that I just need to go do some Jello shots.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, those were some good stories.
I agree.
I think the main theme is break up with him if he's a scumbag.
The title of this episode is Dump Him.
Just dump him. Just dump him. It's not worth it. You're too hot. You're too bad. You're too much of a baddie to put up with this stuff, people. So don't worry about it. Dump them. Go do some Jello shots. Party it up. Do what you gotta do. Feed your kids cereal for dinner. Live it up. Do what just do the thing and forget all of these assholes. I don't think none of the posters in.
I don't think we voted anyone the asshole.
Was the asshole? Yeah. No. They might have handled some things not perfect, but that doesn't make you an asshole. That
Maybe
just makes
next
you a human.
time I'll try to find some assholes for us.
Yeah, I'm sure if I shared some of my past stories, you'd probably vote me the asshole.
We can do some of our personal Am I the assholes?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I want to put my worst moments
Your worst
out there.
Moment?
We'll think about it. We'll think about it.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to. We'll think about it. Maybe like we were just talking off camera about doing an episode where it's like after hours. We do have some drinks or some Jello shots, and then naturally all that stuff will just kind of flow out.
I am a yapper when I'm drinking.
Oh,
so.
Really? Okay. I think I'm a good. It'll work because I turn into a really, really good listener.
Oh, perfect.
When I'm drinking, because I really know how to zone in.
And I never stop talking, so I guess that it would really work out perfect.
All right, it's meant to be. It's meant to be, people. So the only way you're going to hear that future chaotic episode of the podcast is if you stick around, you subscribe, you join the show, be a part of the community, do all the things. If you have maybe you yourself have a Am I the Asshole story that you want to send us directly, because maybe you yourself has been through something, responded to something a certain way, or somebody's just done something in your life that you're just like, you know what? I need to get a different perspective on this. I need to hear some opinions on this. Let us know. Use the email, thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com. And we'd like to bring it up. Maybe we'll do it when we're all boozed up, and then you'll really hear
You'll really know what we think.
You'll really know.
I don't think either of us hold back in general, so.
No. So yeah, that's going to, if we're already at a 10 all the time, that's going to be interesting when we boost that up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for finding those. Those were fun.
That was fun.
Good. Yeah. And thank you all for tuning in for another episode. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Single Parents Podcast. You all out there, don't forget, just stay beautiful. Bye.